Welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast about sharing ideas, discussing the business of making, and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams, an engineer turned furniture maker of Type A Furniture, and an alien pretending to be a DIY craftsman, Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. This is Whatcha Makin.
Welcome to Whatcha Makin Makers. This is a podcast where we talk all about what's on our bench, spotlight makers throughout the maker community, and remind you that 19,000 people annually in the United States go to the ER from holiday decoration-related injuries. So make sure you hang those lights with care this holiday season. Our main topic tonight is theatrical sets and props with a special guest, but more about him in just a moment. I'm Alex Duffey. You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft and at the CNC With Us server on Discord.
So I have a confession. I have not hung up our outside lights, even though my wife asked me to do it like 2 weeks ago. So I guess that's why I'm not injured. So that's the only way to stay safe.
Yeah, I just don't hang up lights.
Yeah, you should get plenty of snow up there. So you should.
Just you get like snow one day a year, and that's it.
What? Oh, come on.
Pacific Northwest, it just rains here, man.
Oh, I guess you just get ice on the road then.
Yeah. Anyways, who are you?
I am Alex at Type A Furniture, the better Alex of the two. And you can find me at Type A Furniture on Instagram. And if you want to sponsor this show and become a patron, you go to patreon.com/whatchamakinshow. Well, I guess become a patron. It's not necessarily a sponsor, but that helps keep the lights on so that we can keep on making this show.
It does.
Who are you?
Well, for those who are watching on the video, you see that we have a special guest already. It is my honor to my honor and excitement to welcome to the show the one and only prop master, Danny of Upper Room Creations.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I like that.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are. Give us that elevator pitch.
All right, elevator pitch. I am Danny Van Meter from Upper Room Creations across all social medias. You can find me at Upper Room Creations. I'm happily married, 45 years old. Yes, I know I look like I'm a lot older than that. I am not. I have 2 kids, my son Dominic and daughter Madison. Madison's 20, Dom is 24. And I do woodworking and theater sets, props, all kinds of signs and things like that. Whatever I can do to help make money. And I'm a retired firefighter, not by choice.
Yeah, I'm looking at the firefighter hats above you here on your image. And so I assume that's Engine 21 that you were part of?
Yeah, our state is a little bit different. So it was actually Station 21, but yeah, Station 7, Station 21. I was a volunteer, which I still technically am for our hometown is a volunteer department. And then the town over is a career paid department. And that was my job for a long while until I unfortunately got hurt and had to retire early. Thus, this all came about. You can't see my hands. Thus, this all came about.
The woodworking.
The woodworking, the business.
Gestures broadly.
Okay. So my only question around firefighting was, were you at least on the cover of one of their calendars?
No, we did not have calendars.
Oh, darn it. Can't go find that image for the Cup podcast.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a chance for a third career.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's me.
Nice. Then.
What you doing?
So this week on our bench. So for me this week on the bench, I really haven't been doing that much. The build of that you guys have been following along with the last couple weeks is finished of my workshop. So, and because holiday markets are now over, which I'll talk about in just a moment, but I really don't have much on the bench. I have a final custom order that I'm working on. I've been refurbishing a old growth redwood clock that a customer had reached out to me. He had it's a big like 25 by 30 clock that he had on the wall, and he had knocked it off the wall, and it fell and cracked the wood, but also cracked the epoxy, which was from like the 1970s for when it was first made. So that epoxy was almost brown in color, and it was clear at one point. So I completely, reflattened it. Actually, I should say I flattened it because it was never flat to begin with. Whoever made it the first time literally cut it with the chainsaw, did a little bit of sanding, and then threw epoxy over it. That thing was wavy as all get up. So I flattened it, took all the old epoxy off except on the edges because they were already black anyway. So I just left them and just put new epoxy on over it after I got it sanded. So that's in its final stages. I had to order the clock pieces because he wanted the same clock face he had. Well, that you can only find now at an antique store. So I had to search for that and find it, but got it. So that's finished up. And the last coat of epoxy's on it, and it will be finished up this week. And then the last thing I'm doing, I'm just literally putting up some goodie bags that I'm taking for my trip to Next Wave. We go next week to go film some YouTube content with Next Wave out in Detroit. And so I reached out to them and asked, hey, how many people do you have in your office so I can bring little goodie bags? And so I'm doing that because that'll be fun.
So on your clock mechanism, was that clock mechanism damaged when it fell off, or did he just want it new?
So the clock face was not damaged, but it was under the epoxy. Because whoever made it glued on the face clock first and then poured epoxy over it, which, as you know, epoxy as it settles, like it wasn't even all the way in. It was like part of it was in the epoxy, but because it settled and ran down. So it was just a mess. So it's going to be so much nicer. I'm sure going to love it. So I had when I flattened it, the CNC just took off the old clock face, which was just plastic, but it's an old style one that was made from the 70s that he really liked. So called a sunburst pattern. So.
So the actual mechanical portion was fine.
Yeah, but it was old too. So I'm just replacing all of the guts, everything. So it's good.
Gotcha.
I want this thing to. His point was the piece of wood came from his dad, and this man is probably 85 or 90 now, and so he wants to pass it on to his kids and then their kids. And so I was like, I'm just making it so that this clock is going to last for at least another generation, if not more. So that means all the new guts inside too.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah. Danny, what have you been working on this week?
So a bunch of Christmas orders, end of the year stuff I'm trying to finalize. A couple flags for a couple like gifts, bottle openers. I do a lot of bottle openers, just like the single bottle openers, some round, some I do. I have a partnership with Troopers United Foundation. It's a nonprofit started by state troopers in New Jersey. So I'm one of their vendors, so they get a lot of stuff from me. And I made like triangle bottle openers for them.
And they're okay with you being a firefighter?
Yeah, that was a big conversation at the beginning of everything. Yeah, they just checked the wrong box on the civil service exam. But so stuff for them. I actually just dropped some stuff off about an hour ago.
I was like, yeah, you got to show that off. I know you've been making that.
Can I get it in there? Yeah.
So those who are listening, it is the Welcome to the Upside Down. It's from Stranger Things.
Yes, I thought that would be a cool sign. My son kind of gave me that idea with the new release of the new season and everything coming out. So
I have to confess, I have not watched Stranger Things, and
I haven't either.
Well, I was going to start it a couple months ago, but then I saw that they were coming out with a new season. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait and then just go through all of it. Cause I pretty much watch one show at a time because that's usually what I have on in the background when I'm sanding or whatever. So I go through shows pretty fast. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have any like wait time in between. I want to do it all at the same time for continuity.
That's what we did. So my kids watched it when it, originally came out and stuff, and they were all into it. And my wife and I, we watched like 1 or 2 episodes and didn't really get drawn into it. And then knowing that the new season was coming out, kids were getting excited for it. So we said, let's give it a try to start it at the beginning. That way, by time when we're done, the new season will come out. And that's what we did. And we ended up probably, 3 or 4 episodes in, started to get hooked, and we just finished it like 2 days before the new season came out. And I do have a drop in my mouth, so if it sounds weird.
Well, and if I remember from seeing the release schedule too, isn't it like the finale episode not coming out until like Christmas or New Year's Day or something?
Yeah. So
right.
So they did it in. So it's like 3 parts. So I believe it was 4 episodes for the first part, and then the next, I believe 4, come out either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and then the last 2, 3, 4, however many it is, come out New Year's Eve. But one neat thing, the finale, the last one, it's actually going to be played in the theaters as well. So you can watch it at home, and it's free. Like, you don't have to pay to go to the theater or whatever. It's only like limited theaters, so we're actually going January 1st because it was sold out. We couldn't get, you know what I mean? Like, we couldn't get tickets for New Year's Eve, so we're going on the 1st. So I think it's a neat, kind of a neat thing they're doing to draw people to the theater and kind of finalize the whole thing.
It's their way of saying, we're sorry, we're going to buy HBO and not release things into theaters anymore.
Yeah, that's a whole thing now, right?
They got to get through a lot of red tape before all that stuff happens.
Oh yeah, I saw this morning a class action lawsuit got filed against them too for it. So it's going to be a thing.
Fun.
That's really about it. Just trying to keep up with the, get the holiday orders squared away and those couple little odds and ends. Theater season's pretty much slowed down right now, so I don't really have much going on with that. Yeah.
Cool. Alex, how about you?
I've just been prepping for my holiday market that's this upcoming weekend. So that means just like a lot more 3D prints. And I did actually, I made some of those and made sure to bring them to my weekly networking event as well to kind of show those off so that they know what I'm bringing to that. Because a couple of the people that are in my networking group, they run that entire event. So there's a few vendors in there, but it's a lot of activities for kids there. So it's like a couple of like city blocks of activities that kids can do. Cause there's like it's a ice rink that is like, instead of, the gym mats that like go together. So it's like those, except for it's like Teflon or something. So they don't need actual ice. So they like have that. They've got like marshmallow making stations. I think they brought reindeer in the past. They do a lot of other activities with like movies playing in one of the buildings that they're in. So I have been also getting ready for the booth setup for that. So I've been rearranging how I do that setup by getting a couple of different display things to put together to like show everything. So I've been getting more organized. And I did make I printed another stand for like my key rings and stuff because I expanded a lot more since I sell a lot of those key rings. The keychain, not the key rings. And then I did drop off a bunch of 3D prints for donation that I think I had talked about that the past episode. So that was a separate program. So I got all that stuff handed off. And then, gosh, I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think so.
Question.
I know. Yes.
What 3D printer do you have? Do you have multiple or just one? I don't have one, and I'm looking to add one.
So I have a couple of Bamboo A1s and I have a Bamboo P1S.
Okay.
And
Bamboo
so
definitely seems like the go-to based on what I see on with other people that have 3D printers.
yeah, especially if you are new to it and depending on what you want to get, usually like the Bamboo A1 is typically like the best introductory one. And I think they still have their Black Friday sales going on, which are pretty good right now. So that's a good one because it's relatively low cost compared to other print. I can't remember how much they're going for right now. It's like $300 or $400.
Yeah.
You want to get it with the combo though, because that's helpful to have the filament feeding in, even if you're doing like just single color filament stuff and not doing, because I print a lot of multicolor stuff for like toys for kids and whatnot. Because I have that was the other thing that I remember now is I had printed a couple of those like big dragon eggs for the first time, the ones that like they twist and open up on the inside. So I printed some of those for the first time. So I was happy with how that result ended up with that one. But yeah, that's what I would recommend if people are getting started in the 3D printing is the Bamboo A1.
Okay. Yeah, no, basically just be stuff, that I need in the shop or around the house. Wouldn't be like production things I'm selling. Just basically stuff, that I need to print. So.
Yeah, the only downside of that one is since it has a open, it's a bed slinger style as well. So if you have like tall, skinny prints, since the bed moves, you can have a little bit of issue there. Right. But usually you don't, unless you're doing some type of like display thing or like really thin, like those little like tea light houses sometimes can be a little bit tricky on those ones just because they have like really thin walls. So those thin walls can sway a little bit. So that's kind of like some of the disadvantage there, but you can get like a cover for them. Because like if people are in a high dust environment and they don't want that to get on the print and get fed through the nozzle, that's one way to keep stuff from getting in there. I've got a little side room where we have all of our stuff, so it stays relatively clean, minus some like pet hair we gotta like sweep up a little bit. So it, for the most part, does pretty well in that environment.
I will say, Danny, as somebody who has an Ender, which was the brand before that everybody had before Bamboo was big, do not ever get an Ender. Just go with Bamboo. Spend the money. Yeah. It's not worth the hassle and the pain and the crying and the tears.
Rip the Band-Aid off once.
Yeah, my son prints stuff on the 3D printers all the time because with their integration with their mobile app, you can just scroll through bunches of models, pick it, and as long as you've got the colors for the filament that you want for it, it'll just go. So you don't have to start by designing anything. You can just start by printing other files that people have made and printed and kind of refined. So that can get you hit the ground running pretty quickly with that. And then as time goes on, you can venture into designing your own stuff if you want to go that route.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you.
And
Fix it.
What you been breaking this week, Alex?
Surprisingly 3D printer stuff, since that's what I've been doing a lot of things on.
What?
Exactly. Usually this stuff doesn't come up. I mean, I actually checked. One of my printers has 2,500 hours of printing on it. The other one has 2,000. And then I didn't check the third one because that was the one that I was fixing, which oddly enough is the newest of the three. So I had this is not a thing that happens super often, but sometimes if you have models that are finicky, I was printing off it's just like this hex-shaped fidget toy. And I had some problems with it in the past sometimes, but I decided to print it again. And first few layers were great. And so I kept it printing, and I let my printers print overnight because I'm reckless like that. because for the most part, I generally don't have issues with it. But what had happened was, and this is a fairly, like, it happens, but not super common, where if something falls off of the bed or whatnot, and it doesn't have anything to print on, usually you'll just get like string and you print spaghetti essentially, because it doesn't have any, like, it thinks stuff is there, but it's not. So it just kind of like spews out all of the extruded plastic. But sometimes what can happen is that can feed up on the nozzle and start clumping on the nozzle. So what I woke up to was this, like, bigger than golf ball size, not quite the size of a baseball, clump on the nozzle of this printer. And fortunately it was still warm, because the number one thing that you want to do is keep it warm, because if it stays warm, the plastic is still malleable, so you can essentially pull off that big clump of plastic as best as you can, and you can recover from there. I got I had to get a hairdryer on it as well, because it had clumped and fed up into the head a bunch. But I got most of it off, and the heating element that's in the print head, it still had a bunch of junk on it, and there was just so much. And the part for this is like $12 or something like that. And the amount of time that it would take to like fully clean it off, heat it up again, and the heat element actually clips the nozzle in place. And so I was also concerned about getting all of that stuff off and being able to have that alignment on there nice and straight with the print nozzle. So I'm like, I could probably print with this and it would be fine. But with a part that cheap, I was like, I'm not going to chance it. So I had ordered a couple of heating elements, and unfortunately that took a couple of days. So I wasn't able to use that printer for a couple of days. But once I got those parts in, it was a pretty easy swap, because the nice thing about the A1 is that everything is so accessible, because it does have that open gantry design, and all of the components, like, there's not a whole lot, because they simplified it so much. And I did, it was the same scenario with the nozzle itself, where it was like, it was caked and I could clean it if I wanted to, but I had put so many hours on it. And I was like, nozzles are cheap. They're like, I can't remember, like $15 or something like that. So like the parts for this are not super expensive. And so I did also order spares of all that, just in case it happened again. So it was basically right as rain as soon as I got those parts swapped in. Like, there's plenty of tutorials with it, and it's easy enough. So I got that one fixed. Now, I did actually have a second printer that one I knew I was going to have to do a little bit of maintenance on it, because I was getting a little bit of black filament in some of my prints, like in some of the white portions of the prints. And I think I just ended up needing to clean the nozzle tip off, but I did order a replacement nozzle on that one, because I might, if I am not able to, there might be a little bit of clogging in there. So I might try and clean out the nozzle, but honestly, for how cheap the nozzles are, I might just swap it in for how long that nozzle has been printing. So that was, I also printed off a few upgrade accessories for that as well. So I printed a couple of like various covers and things, and a couple of like wire clips, and a little accessory to help with the nozzle for its self-cleaning procedure that it goes through. Because even though the printers are pretty darn good, sometimes there's a few things that you can print after the fact, accessories wise, that can kind of help that operate a lot better and stay a lot cleaner. And also I did have a little bit of struggle with PETG. So I had started using PETG to make trailer hitch covers, because
what is that?
That is a type of filament, so it's a type of plastic. So PETG is essentially the same type of plastic that they use to make plastic pop bottles. So if you think about it, like, it's a lot stronger than you would imagine, because the walls of like those bottles are so thin. But if you think of like the where the cap screws on, like how strong that portion is with how, because it's only like maybe an eighth of an inch thick and it's relatively strong. So it's a pretty good strong filament, and its color does a lot better in the outdoor elements, and it's a lot less prone to like warping being outside. But it is a little bit more difficult to print than PLA, which is the filament that is used for a lot of, you know, non functional pieces, I guess, for a lack of a better term, because it's easier to print, like doing, you know, keychains or gadgets or other stuff is okay for it, but they're a little bit more susceptible for heat. So like if you wanted to print zero clearance inserts for a saw, you would use PETG as opposed to PLA, because the PLA is more likely to heat up and warp, as opposed to the PETG is going to hold up a little bit better in that scenario. Of course, you got to make the thicknesses big enough that it can sustain the mechanical forces of boards going over the top and whatnot. But anyway, it's also a little bit more finicky. It needs higher temperature as a result. And so getting it to have good adhesion on the bed plate to like do designs and stuff, sometimes it doesn't adhere well. And so you get like a little lifting on the edges of that print and a little bit of warping. So I was dealing with a little bit of that, because what happens is that if it doesn't adhere well enough and it kind of peels up on that edge, that print head doesn't know it. And so what happens is, you like when it starts printing over that region, it's high enough that the nozzle like is like grinding when it goes over top of it, because it's like scraping it. So if you ever hear like the scraping noises, your nozzle is printing, that's not a good sign. But for that print, like when I had seen it, it was far enough along where like, I'll just let it print. And especially for like these hitch covers, that backside really isn't going to be seen, and the other side looked fine, and then you couldn't really see the lift on it was, we're talking like maybe a 16th of an inch. So like flatness wise, you're not really going to notice it either. So it wasn't like a huge issue. It was just an annoyance in that particular print. Sometimes it can get to the point where it becomes an actual problem for the structure of the print, if it's like you need those tolerances for something. And then the non 3D printer stuff that I had was, so in my basement on one side of the rooms, it has the drain for like all of the HVAC stuff and everything. And I did not realize that one of the hoses, I thought I had gotten all of the hoses reaching all the way down to the drain itself, but I had one that was up closer to the wall. And so I had boards stacked against the wall, and I had noticed a little bit of like water spots on the edges of those boards. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I moved those boards, and I'm like, oh crap, this thing has been draining up above there and flowing down, and it's been getting the edges of these boards, which can, when you get that moisture on the end of those boards, that can make them expand. And then once they're done expanding, you know, they've made a few cracks and whatnot. So fortunately there wasn't like a lot of damage with those boards, but I went and I got I had some extra, what's the plastic tubing? It's not PVC. It's a little bit more flexible. Was it PEX?
Oh, PEX, yeah.
Yeah, I had some leftover PEX from some other thing, so I just straightened that out and then slipped that over the current drain tube nozzle thing to get the rest of the length so that it can actually reach the drain. So the thing that sucks is that like all of the equipment and HVAC stuff are on the side of the basement where I want to have my wood shop, because the floor is flat, but all of that stuff drains to the other side of the basement where they have the drain, but like it's got that little bit of a grade, so then it can slope down to that drain. So I wish all of that like equipment was on the same side, so then I wouldn't have to deal with all of that. But that's how they decided to set it up a while ago. And then the last thing, my French door on my fridge, if people have that, they know that sometimes you've got that little like swivelly thing in between that like slips in between to like close the gap on those. So like, gosh, was this like 3 or 4 weeks ago? Apparently like a spring or something popped out of it, and so that little thing didn't flip on its own. So you had to like manually like get that little thing to slide in, otherwise the fridge door wouldn't close all of the way. And so we just been dealing with that because I didn't know what actually had broken on there. I thought like a piece actually came out and there's no way to fix it. So I finally Googled it, found out that I could get a spring for like $3 and just pop it in there, and then it works. So my procrastination ended up with weeks of suffering of manually messing with that fridge door every time we had to open or shut it. Well, I guess shut it. And it was fixed by just simply swapping out the part. And I don't know how that spring popped out. For the life of me, I can't figure out how that happened, but
So thank
I
you,
don't know.
Google.
Yes, thank you, YouTube, for helping me with that.
YouTube
But
University.
because of that, though, like, I will never recommend a Samsung fridge to anyone, because we also have the de-icing, or the condensation issue with that Samsung fridge, that something condenses and it gets the frozen layer underneath the vegetable and fruit drawers. So Samsung fridges are the worst. I didn't buy it. It was what came with the house. But yeah, if you have if you're considering a fridge, or you see one that's a Samsung, head for the hills and get something else. So yeah, that's what I have been breaking.
Danny, have you had any troubles in the shop this week?
I don't know if I can follow that up. You've had a rough time in the last few weeks.
It sounds worse than it is. I mean, honestly, fixing stuff on the 3D printers is not terrible.
Alex just likes to complain.
I do.
I was actually trying to think this whole time. I can't really think of anything that's necessarily broken.
That's okay.
So apparently your Onefinity is perfect and you never break a bit, right?
I can honestly say, but I don't know. It's not necessarily, the machine. It depends on the bit and everything.
I was like, breaking bits is never the machine. It's always the person.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say I've probably I'm not going to say, because I'm going to jinx myself, but I've only broken probably 3 bits in the time, that I've had a machine. And quite honestly, 2 of them were with another brand.
Damn. I break bits I don't know, very often, but that's only because I'm stupid.
Well, let me know. I mean, I feel like I can give you a little guidance with some feeds and speeds or something. Come on, what are you doing?
No, it's never feeds and speeds. It's always like, oh, I forgot to zero, or do just doing stupid things where I'm going too fast and I forgot something.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I had I maybe hit a nail here or there, over the years, but I can honestly say, but I was very early on. So I had a Shapeoko. It was my first CNC. That was actually the first. That was the first thing business money bought. You know what I mean? Before that, side hustle, just doing stuff, and it was all personal. Whatever, need this saw or get this or that. So that was the first thing I saved up for when I started the business that I bought. And I broke a few bits with that machine, and but I think it's just learning it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had zero experience with CNC, and the main reason I got into it, I was doing a lot of hand carving signs. That was the time when I was leaving the fire department and going through some stuff there, mentally, and I was just hand routing signs, and it got to the point where I just couldn't keep up. So I was like, man, I need something to help me out and, to kind of be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And, but as far as breaking stuff over the last few weeks, I mean, my wife totaled her car about a month ago. Does that count?
yes, that's not where I thought you were going with that statement.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to hear that about the car.
Yeah. I mean, she broke her hand, and
oh no.
Yeah, had some other injuries. But as far as shop stuff breaking, no, I think God, I'm jinxing myself. I'm going to stop talking.
Okay, good.
Something's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm blaming y'all.
That's all right. So my section, it's more or less, this isn't necessarily something that I broke, but is something that just sucked in general. So I have the Shop Fox dust collector thing on this on the wall, and I was upgrading it from the fabric bag to the canister. And Shop Fox sells a canister upgrade for their thing, or for their kit for their product. It is the worst kit in the world. So it is definitely, somebody said, hey, we should do a retrofit to our thing, but not actually like, look at our designs or test it before we release it. So you're supposed to literally duct tape the canister to the end of the where the bag goes on, and then put a clamp over it to hold it in place. But the clamp is also metal, and it's supposed to fit in these little tiny grooves that they have, but only the canister has these grooves. The old part doesn't have the grooves. So really what's actually holding this thing together is duct tape. And it just, I put it up there, I did everything right, it fell. I put it up again, it fell. I tried so many different things. I was so angry. So I was looking at the reviews, and sure enough, because I bought it very quickly, and I'm normally a person that checks all the reviews, but I was like, oh, that works, and it's just a canister upgrade, and it's from the same company, it's gonna work, and I just hit buy, right? Should have paid attention. And sure enough, all the reviews say it don't work. But somebody was like, oh, I grabbed this 5-inch silicone coupler, and then just used some band clamps to clamp it together. And so I bought that and did it, and sure enough, it works great. So moral of the story is absolutely don't ever buy this upgrade kit from Shop Fox. Just go with the canister upgrade to begin with. And normally, I love this dust collector. For the price, it's phenomenal. It does really good. It's dedicated just for my CNC. It's a great dust collector just for the CNC, but they missed the mark on this upgrade kit. So it was kind of a pain in the tuchus the whole time.
I think I saw a story or something. You were talking about that, and you didn't have the bag recently.
Oh, well, and now I had to buy a replacement plastic bag, the final collection bag for it, because when it fell, it ripped the bag in half.
So it just went right on that seam.
Yeah, so I definitely did not hit return on Amazon, and yes, I'll take the $50 and just keep the device, because they offer that now. So I definitely did not do that, but yeah, because I was really angry.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
So selling, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, my last market was this past weekend, so I am done now with markets. Yay! Everybody rejoice. Well, so I used to do another market the second week of December, but I have found that those markets generally suck compared to all of the other ones.
You tell me.
I don't know. It might be different for a 3D printer, but as a woodworker, It feels like everybody has already purchased their Christmas gifts, and so I just never had good luck with the second week and after in December. So I just have decided to scratch it. So, and I was really worried about this last market because it's a Friday, Saturday market. Last year, Friday, and I've been to this market 4 years in a row. Every time Friday is slower than Saturday. Well, I average on Friday about $500 in sales for that Friday, which is pretty slow, but whatever. This year, I only did $100 on Friday, and I was just like, this is going to suck so bad. It's going to be horrible. But then Saturday was actually fairly steady and busy. It actually made up what I lost on Friday, and I made more than I did last year there. So I was happy with how it went. But I was leaving Friday, I was like, well, this is just going to be what it is. And if I walk away with $100, I walk away with $100. Oh, well. So, but I'm glad Saturday turned out the way it did. But yeah, so my market season's done. So overall, it's funny enough, I am tracking exactly how I've ended up all year long. or all season long, exactly at 20% down year over year for my markets. But I am still 7% up in sales, people or transactions. So more people have purchased, but they're spending less overall, which has been kind of the all of 2025 because the economy sucks and people are worried about their paycheck, and food comes first. So yeah. But that's what I've been selling. Danny, did you sell anything this week, or do you have any orders coming in?
Yeah, the stuff I mentioned earlier with the state police. So I did. I've been. This is my first year doing whiskey smokers. So for the holidays, instead of it just being the whiskey smoker, I made a whole little kit. So essentially, it's got the whiskey smoker, a little like torch lighter, a couple spare mesh filters, wood chips, packaged up in a nice little box.
Nice.
Yeah. So then.
How much do you sell that kit for? Because it's got the lighter and everything.
50.
50? Okay.
Yeah, the whole kit.
That doesn't sound bad at all. Because it's probably
is it one of those
kind of like torch lighters?
Yeah, I would show you one, but I literally just sent the last ones out earlier when I sent the order out. Yeah. So,
no, I was just curious. I
get them on Amazon.
I thought you were gonna say you just left it on your bench in the background because that's what a firefighter would do.
Do you pre-fill it with butane?
I don't. No.
Okay.
I haven't been filling them only because I don't want, especially if it's, I have them listed on the website too. So if I'm going to ship them, I can't, really ship them with that.
Yeah.
So I just assume they're not filled, and that's kind of like, how they come. Oh, and then I do have a little, I guess I would consider it like a real small metal business card, almost a real thin metal. I have the X2 F1, so I just made up little directions, kind of whiskey smoker step 1, do this, do this, do the, like a little direction guide. So I put that in the kit as well.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a really good deal. I sell my kit for $30, and it's just the smoker, a single filter, and chips.
Yep.
So 50 for some replacements and the thing. That's a really good deal.
Yeah, so I was doing the first time I did them. I do that PB Makers Fest that Pat and Carlina, Pine Barren Pallet Works, that they do, and I did them there, and that was the first place I made them, and I just did them single, like you're saying, and I did 35. So it was the smoker, spare mesh, and a tin of whatever you wanted. I just had 3 different, wood species there, and that was 35.
So those little mesh pieces, those wear out pretty like how quick do those wear out?
Quick. I mean, we did. So it was nice because my son came with me and he demoed it, which was great because a lot of people are like, whiskey smoker, what's that? So we had a little table set up and he did them right there. And I would say probably between the 2 days, 50 samples we did just, like to show people how it was working. And it's still fine. Like it still works,
okay.
No issues, like it hasn't like burned through or whatever. So
I will say I've been using mine now for about 3 years. The original one I made for myself. Yeah. I've never had to replace it. So.
Yeah. So I think, I think the biggest thing with them is showing people how they work. Somebody just, they're like, I don't know what that is, So that definitely helped us selling them at, that event. Yeah.
So what kind of style do you have with yours? Because I know that there's various. Oh, you're going to show and tell. Yes, we will talk amongst ourselves while we wait for him to bring it back and show it to us, even though we've got the podcast form, which is a great reason to go over to the YouTube video and watch because you will see what is about to be shown.
And if you were confused, just like I was on the show, and it was great because he walked one way out of the camera and he came back the other direction. It was like magic.
Just like Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing the oval design. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's not a additional catch underneath for the
the little mesh is in there. I don't know if you can say it.
Right. Yeah. You just got the mesh going directly down into the where the drink is, and then do you have you do have like a little plug or cover that goes over
No, I
top, or
don't.
it just pulls through?
Yeah, it pulls through pretty. I was worried about that at first, and yeah, no, it just pulls through pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because it looked,
I
from
don't
what I've
use
seen
it.
for people, like just the power of the torch flame pressing down into that, it seems like it does just fine.
If I would have known we
Yeah.
were going to talk about that, we could have demoed it.
Yeah, well, and it's funny. So like, we actually had Braden on a few weeks ago, and he and I have a continuous joke and fight going on with each other about demoing whiskey smokers. So because he does demos all the time, and that's basically all they sell is whiskey smokers. Where I don't do demos. I have a little tablet set up with a video that I've recorded. Because one, I'm selling a whole bunch of other products, so I can't just focus on the whiskey smokers because I have 30 other SKUs. But I also I'm a little bit of a wuss, and I don't want to get in trouble from somebody complaining about fire or a smoke detector going off or something. So, so I'm
sorry.
No, I was just going to say I do my little video so that way I don't get in trouble.
But it, like for me, like having my son there, you're talking about you being by yourself, having to do the video. That if I didn't have him there, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Talk to people and stuff, and then hold on, I'm trying to show you this. So yeah, I think the video is definitely a good idea if you don't have a second set of hands there.
Yeah. 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 So, anyways, that's. Alex, have you been selling anything?
I have. So just earlier today, I had the recurring order that I get for doing some cutting boards, and it's like a barbecue utensil kit, like tongs and stuff. So I have a colleague so he has a local like jewelry shop, and so they do a lot of like corporate gifts for holidays where they have like the 10-year person gets this for their like Christmas gift, and the 15-year person gets this for their gift or whatever. So one of the gift that we actually do with him is a serving tray that has the company's logo laser engraved in it. So he actually does the laser engraving. I make the board and everything. And then same thing with the tongs and stuff, where those are laser engraved on the handles. So I get a batch order for that. So it was 26 serving trays and like 5 barbecue sets. So it'll be a nice order. And the good thing is they actually do their holiday party after New Year's. It's like, I think they might even do it like the beginning of February, if I remember right. So I've got time to do this because like this literally just came in today. So like if it was going to be before Christmas, like that would be hell, but it's not. So it's not that big of a deal. So I got to go buy a bunch of cherry now because we do cherry for these serving trays. So it's a lot of fun because you know what you're making and you can just kind of batch and churn stuff out pretty easily. So that's nice that I had that coming in. And then the other thing that I have that is pending is I have a friend who they bought a new house, and new to them, and the cabinets that are on there, they're like rearranging. There's like a bunch of cabinets everywhere, and they're rearranging and redoing some of that and some of the countertops. And so they wanted to have me quote like basically cutting up some of these cabinets and remaking the sizes and stuff. And so we'll see where that one goes. They put out some quotes to some other like cabinet shops and stuff. And so I'm not going to be heartbroken if they go with someone else, because like I just gave them was like, here's what I could, potentially do it for. I'm not like, I told them up front, I was like, a full-on cabinet shop might be able to do better, but it's one of those projects where it's like reusing some material, so it becomes a little bit more cumbersome because of not dealing with just like brand new stuff that you can just assemble, and there's no baggage when it comes to like using materials and everything like that. So we'll see where that one falls. So I'm not like, I'm not going to be bending over backwards to try and get that cabinet work, because I'm not like super set up for cabinet work to begin with. Like I know I can figure out and do it, but it's just one of those things that it comes with its own set of issues, as I learned with the full church of church pews that I refinished. So yeah.
Somebody's watching me. It's my anxiety.
All right, so on our watching subjects, so the first one I have this week is the one and only Wood Whisperer, Mark Spagnuolo. We all know and
You
love
can't
him.
do
He's
that. He's my friend.
Yes,
he's my friend.
Yes.
He's not your friend.
Actually, he is my friend because he's a Team Next Wave.
No, he was my friend first. He has no eyes for anyone except for me. All of his other followers are fake. It's just me.
Anywho, so he's testing his new Axion laser that he got earlier this year, and he was doing some Christmas ornaments. He totally does not have his power settings down yet because he completely torched his ornament in like literally just a hole inside of the cookie ornament that he was creating because he was trying to do it. So one, watch your power settings so that, you know, because I'm sure there was lots of flame because this thing was charred. But it's funny to see somebody who, you know, clearly is an OG woodworker and somebody we all know and look up to still struggle with things now and then. So it was really funny. But that's my first one. Danny, do you have somebody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I would say my buddy Tyler, Temecula Yard Games. He just did some awards for surf prep. I think it was 4 of them. I believe walnut, but it was neat. It was kind of angled. Excuse me. And he had epoxy he poured in the corner of them. So I thought that was cool. He just put them out the other day. So, yeah.
Nice.
First one that I've got is from Saltwell Designs, and they went through and took just a regular standard card scraper from, I think it was from DFM Toolworks, and they cut it to a custom profile to match a routed profile. So I think if I remember right in the video, I think he got some of the material down, and then he used that kind of profile as a little bit of like a scratch stock. And for those who are not familiar with what scratch stock is, it's pretty much just a straight like piece of metal that you cut into a shape, and as you press it against the wood, it creates shavings just like your card scraper would if you use card scrapers. And it's an easy way to get complex profiles on a routing without needing to buy like a bunch of router bits to get like a certain profile. So that's what a lot of old school people would do for getting like custom profiles that were like, you know, super complex, is making that scratch stock to do that. So it was it was a big one too, because he had used, like, we're talking like, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 inches across. So it was a pretty darn big one, but it turned out really nice.
Thanks. My next one is Joyce, and I apologize, Joyce. I'm going to say your last name wrong. It's Linnaeus. I'm sorry, but Joyce Linnaeus Design. Really, really cool wood-turned wine goblet. But what's really unique about her artwork is she does what I would call these spilt or milted designs, where she's carved the wood to make it look like it's melting over the edge of something. So this wine goblet had spilt wine pouring out of the goblet made from purple heart that sits on the edge of a mantle, and the wood has dripped down as if it's in process of spilling over the edge. It's freaking gorgeous. So go make sure you check out her designs.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Danny, anybody else?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily like making something, but I guess it is kind of making something. It's expanding. Sam, Uncharted Customs, I'm sure you guys follow him. And he just expanded because he has like laser supplies now. So he basically, you can order blank stuff from him, you know, like tumblers or coasters, things like that. And I guess business has been doing well because he just got a warehouse. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's a nice, he's been putting stuff on his stories or whatever, just kind of slowly like building out this big warehouse for all of his maker supply products. And I believe he's going to eventually move his shop there as well. His shop's,
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that's pretty cool to see somebody in the community who's, I can remember following him like early on in this, one car attached garage. I feel like he had brown wood paneling like on his garage walls and stuff, and kind of seeing him expand where he's at now. And now he's moving into a big warehouse. So I think that's cool. I love seeing people win and do well, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Next one that I have. So their handle, it's Pam Eanes Howard, and Eanes is spelled Eanes. So she made a Dutch tool chest, so the same kind that like you see it from like the Lost Art Press designs, and so it's just nice seeing someone put those together, and then it's had this nice, I don't know if it's greenish teal color to it of the like, I'm pretty sure it's milk paint, but you see a lot of people make tool chests, and it's just really nice to see those, and especially once you get them filled with all of the hand tools and other stuff, they're just really nice to see those come together.
Awesome. My last one is from Silver Hair and Sawdust. They made an amazing hutch cabinet, standing tall hutch cabinet, but the doors are in a stained glass style, but it's not stained glass. It's a mosaic made from a bunch of different wood colors. But it's done so well, it does look like stained glass on the front doors. So go over to Silver Hair and Sawdust and check out their latest post there with that hutch.
Is that end grain, or did they do that in long grain for those pieces? Do you know? Or could you tell? I
believe it was post? Long grain from the photo.
Okay. How do you glue up a bunch of pieces like that? Like, how do you clamp that all together? Is it just like in stages or what?
That's my guess. Is it's in a lot of different stages, or I don't know. Maybe you have a picture frame clamp, and you've cut everything square, glue it all up at once, and then just do that band clamp around the edge like a picture frame.
Oh yeah, assuming that everything is like lined up properly, nice and snug.
Right. But I'm assuming it was in stages.
Gotcha. Cool. Last one that I got is Stone over at Stonefinity. So these ones,
so funny that you said that. That is so funny that you said that. Go ahead.
So he, it's not in his reels, but in his stories, he has been putting down epoxy flooring. It's just been interesting to watch the process.
You stole mine. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, it's not really a thing, but it's pretty cool because I think it's a good product, and I like seeing the process. Oh my god, that's so funny you said that.
Yeah. So he
Alex
put down the coating.
History of stealing people's.
No, it's you. He is the thief. He is the one who always steals the things that I was going to bring up for mine. Does it all the time. He's a jerk. He's the worst.
That's why you jumped ahead of me, because you knew I was going to bring that up, and you're like, I got to get it.
Exactly. But yes, good job putting your flooring down, Stone. I think he still has the top coat left, if I remember right.
From what I saw earlier, the top coat is done.
Oh, he did put it on? Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Because he had to put... Because I know the last one that I saw, he had to like level out, because when you like throw the flakes doon on the base coat or whatever, getting it like leveled down for if there's like clumps or whatever. So he just had to recoat within 24 hours. Was that the deal?
That. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he said 3 to 7 days to let it like fully cure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch it. Is that his personal shop that he's doing that for?
No. I've got this bug floating around in here. I'm not going crazy. There's literally a bug in my face.
Sure.
No, no, I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure that's like the Onefinity.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like,
warehouse.
I don't think this is his, but yeah, it looks like it was a Onefinity building.
Yeah. So that was cool. I liked seeing that process. I'm just gonna talk about floors for a second, because why not? I had when I first started doing stuff in the shop, like concrete floor, it was killing my ankles just being and my knees, being out on the concrete all day doing stuff. So I ended up getting those like exercise mats, like 2 foot by 2 foot,
Mhm.
where they go together. And I just slowly ended up, adding them to the whole floor in the shop. I initially did it like around my workbench and, kind of where I was standing all the time
Mhm.
because they're not cheap. But over the course of like 2 years, I would just buy, you know, so many, whatever was in a kit, and then just slowly add them. And it makes it very nice to walk on.
Yeah, I still only have like a mat or two hanging around in my concrete floors because I still hate myself.
Yeah.
I need to lay down some epoxy or something like that to level out, especially in the garage space here, because the slab is like cracked to hell and there's a bunch of wear on it and unevenness, which is why I don't use the garage space a whole lot. I mean, it's only a single car garage, but it'd be nice to have like level flooring for
Yeah.
when I get around and roll stuff around.
I say, but that's the only thing with the foam, padding on the floor. It's like a catch-22. Can't roll anything around very easily on it. So
Yeah, because you got
kind of
the
use
little
that.
bit fluffier stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I know that James Wright posted some videos about how he put some rubber flooring in his, because he just got they're just like giant rolls of rubber that you just like roll out. I think they're like 10 foot wide or something like that, but I think you can order it in like custom widths or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's ideally what I want, because that's a little bit of that like thicker hard rubber
Yeah.
that would help prevent what you were talking about of like wheels catching or stuff catching on it.
Yeah. What's Alex Duffey smirking about?
He's probably thinking about stealing another thing from me.
No, I wasn't stealing anything. You were just talking about thick rubber, and I thought that's what she said. So. And on that note, he's a phantom. That's the only music I could find that had Danny in it. So, because
I love that show,
is the prop master here. So, our main topic tonight is about props and theater design and sets. Danny, so my first question is, how did you get into doing the theater stuff?
So my daughter does theater, as far as like acting and singing and stuff like that. Son was always like behind the scenes stage crew and stuff. So I was kind of a handy parent, I guess. And whenever she was in something at school, it was, hey, could you make this, or could you do that? And that kind of like got me into doing that stuff. And then as she got older, she started to do like community theater and things like that. So I would get more involved in those places. And then I just saw like a real like need, I guess. There was kind of a gap in the market where people for community theater and local schools could go to for props or set pieces, to rent or to have somebody build the stuff for them. It's not, we're in South Jersey. It's not like a, big New York City or something like that, where they have all these union people to to make stuff for them for their sets and props. So I felt there was a need there. So I just started started making different things here and there, and then that led to building up a little bit of inventory and essentially having stuff to rent out to people.
So is that
now
early on in the woodworking, or did it come later after the woodworking had kind of already been established?
As far as like the business perspective, or just making
Or
this?
just like the timing of it, like were you doing props before you started doing other woodworking stuff, or like?
Yeah, so I've always kind of like tinkered with it. My uncle, excuse me, my uncle, my grandpa were both carpenters, essentially, like framers and cabinet makers. When there's old school people making cabinets and building homes and stuff like that. So I kind of always tinkered with woodworking. Even when I was younger, I'd make like little benches or little like wishing well things, stuff like that. kind of little crafty things. And then through that time was when my daughter was in the plays and stuff, where I started doing the theater stuff. But as far as like making money off of it and starting the business, that wasn't until later on.
Gotcha.
Now, Danny, do you make those giant letters too, right? You did the ones for Workbench Con?
No,
Is that right?
No.
Okay.
No.
For some reason.
No.
Oh, I thought that was okay.
Really cool. No, I want to get into that. The like marquee letters and the numbers for like grad 2025 or whatever, because I definitely see a market there.
Oh no, you did the Cinderella carriage.
I did a Cinderella carriage, yes.
That's right. Okay, yes. For some reason, I had those two together as the same person, but nope, you did the Cinderella carriage. Okay, so did that?
And you carved that out of pumpkin, right?
Yeah. Chair just went down on me. What the heck?
Did that stay with you? Or I guess my question is when you're doing props and you rent stuff out to people, where do you have the room to store this stuff afterwards? Or do you disassemble it after it's done and you can reassemble it later? Like, how does that work?
All right. So good question. I like it. So I kind of have two different avenues. So some of the things I do, for example, local high school, my alma mater, I build their 2 shows, spring musical, fall play. They house everything there, all the lumber and everything, and they essentially pay me to come in and build it and put everything together. So that's all their stuff. But then, like the Cinderella carriage, some specialty things, if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, we need, this for a show, can you make it? My first question will be, is it a rental or do you want it for, to own for your own? Most of the time, they don't want it, they just want to rent it from somewhere. So if it's something like the carriage that I can essentially re-rent, multiple times to continue to generate, income off of it, I'll make it and it'll be mine and then I'll rent it to them. So I have a lot of, I'm looking at one right now. I have different show signs, big show signs for like your shows that happen all the time. Like a lot of your Disney shows, Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast, things like that. So I'll make them and then I'll rent them. And then I have them to essentially re-rent, if somebody needs them in the future. My mom and dad have a pretty big piece of property, a little over 3 acres. And on that property, I have a building. It's like this, I don't know if they have the like pre-built sheds where you guys are, but essentially a pre-built shed, somebody comes in and drops it on your lot. All right, so I have one that's 12 foot by 20 foot with a roll-up door on the end. That's full.
Nice.
And then I have another smaller one. Technically, I don't have it. It's my dad's. That has a few things in it. But they're the things that will be reused. So I have like some chairs, some benches, different things like that that could be used across multiple different shows.
How often do you get something being reused, would you say?
I would say it depends on what it is. Right now, I have a door, and it's on a rolling platform. We call it a truck. Essentially, it's a platform with wheels, and it's just a door and a frame. Regular 6-panel hollow core, white door you can get from Home Depot, whatever, big box store. But it gives the audience the visualization of somebody walking in and out of the door, depending on what the blocking is or what that scene looks like. So that is at a local high school, and that's probably the 6th time that's been used, and I built it 2 years ago.
I was going to ask, was that the Monsters Inc. door?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So like the Cinderella carriage, twice. That's been used twice. I'll have chairs and benches because they can be used. They're not like show specific, you know what I mean? So they can be used for anything. A bench can be a bench in multiple different types of shows. So things like that will get reused quite often. But the show specific things, not as much. But when you need it, you need it. I have 2 Beetlejuice show signs that I made. In my opinion, they're like gorgeous. I love them. turned out great.
They do look
Nobody's
good.
going to rent that unless you're doing Beetlejuice. You don't need, you know what I mean? But if you're doing Beetlejuice, you need those signs for that show. They're part of that show, working. So.
And before we move on, that actually takes me to my next question, which is, do you just kind of come up with ideas and then make it? Or is it a combination of, oh, I think this will be cool and this is popular right now, so I'm going to make it, but also somebody asked for this? Or do you just wait for somebody to ask for it?
No, I generally wait for somebody to ask for it just because of, the price of everything and the lumber and all. And then, if I'm kind of sitting on it and then it doesn't get used, there'll generally be a need for it, or there'll be, something in the show. Hey, we need this bench. Can you make this? And I'll just, make it based off of what they tell me, but I know I'm going to be able to reuse it and re-rent it, for future shows and stuff. And along with that, I have a trailer, so I got an enclosed trailer so I can deliver these items to, schools or wherever whoever's renting them. So that's,
And then,
yeah.
is part of that rental setting up those signs or getting them ready for that particular stage? Obviously, different stages are set up in different ways, so you're going to have to, have some type of setup involved, right?
Yeah, so it's all different depending on what it is. The majority of the people I work with are, so far have been the same, like 3 theater organizations, 4, and maybe 10 to 12 different schools. So I kind of already know, what they have and what, they know my ability and stuff. And part of the rental agreement is 25 miles. So, like on my website, I have a whole theater tab that lists all my items, and it gives dimensions, measurements, weight, if it's something that, it's going to hang from the ceiling or whatever. And the fee and all that is up to 25 miles for me to deliver it there. Now, if they need me to help them set it up and build something on site or, rig something, that's something different. And, I have that conversation with them, but generally places like that, they have people there,
Gotcha.
But yeah, and then I will deliver further than that, but it's just like an added fee. So, for example, if you're renting, a show sign that's $250 for, for the run of the show, I'll deliver it, 25 miles. If it's above that, then I just charge $3 more per mile. So, just to,
Gotcha.
offset my costs of having the gas and wear and tear and all that.
Right. So how does the rental fee compare to if someone were to purchase it outright? Is it like half the cost of purchasing the item typically, or like a third, or like what's a ratio?
I guess it would really depend on what it is. A lot of it that I see, it's a storage. They don't, when the show's done, they won't. Typically in schools a little bit different, but typically in the theater, because I'm the vice president of another, of a theater organization too. We don't generally do the same show. Like if we're going to recycle a show, we usually won't redo it for 10 years. So if we're doing it this year, we're not going to do it for 10 years. Well, if we build something show specific, that's a sign for that show, we got to house it for 10 years before we're going to potentially use it again. It doesn't make sense. They'd rather just rent it, have somebody bring it, drop it off, take it away when they're done with it. I will say generally what I found on the first rental of an item, I don't make any money on. I'm pretty much break even. Because, the cost, labor, the materials and all that, but each subsequent rental, that's all profit.
Gotcha.
Aside from, a little bit of, gas money or, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so that's to me where the real value is. The first one's okay. I'm not losing money. I'm not making money, but now I have something that I can re-rent over and over and over again and just continue that revenue.
Gotcha. And speaking of revenue, what's the makeup of like the theatrical signs versus other woodworking stuff? Would you say it's like half theatrical stuff, half everything else? Like, is it a different ratio?
As far as like the amount of work, or you're thinking like a financial aspect?
Yeah, just like the top line revenue that you would bring in per year.
They're probably half. I would say probably 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's nice because I know when a lot of that's coming. I know. So this one, the high school that I said is my alma mater. I know when their shows are. I know the weeks I'm going to be in there, so I already know. I'm not overbooking myself with customs. Leading up to that because I'll be tied up there for a little bit of time. So that makes it nice. You know what I mean? Having that kind of knowledge ahead of time. Some of the other stuff is random. I'll just get a random email from somebody here or there, and I'm in some different like theater organization groups and stuff. So I'll post pictures or things like that, and people will reach out. So yeah, I'd say 50-50.
And on the revenue side, what is your rental fees, and like, how do you come up with that? How did you make that, determine that you're still making money then, or not making money, and so on?
Yeah, that was excuse me. Said I'm still battling a cold. That was honestly probably the hardest thing was the money, and I think across the board, even with non-theater stuff, just other stuff, the financial aspect I feel like is the hardest part. Because I want to make money, but I don't want to overshoot and scare people away. So I kind of had an idea from some of the people I'd worked with what they'd paid for other rental things. So I was able to pick some people's brains and kind of get a gauge on stuff. And obviously, if it's something like the carriage, for example, I knew what I had in that material wise and time and everything. So, yeah, just kind of gauge it on that and checking with people like, in the industry, what they charge or what they pay for stuff. So then I would know what to charge. You want a dollar
Nice.
amount? Is that what you want to know? You want to know how much it's going to
No,
cost?
that's
the carriage to Washington. Washington.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah, yeah. I'm in Washington.
FedEx
Yes,
next day air,
I want
right?
to know. I want to know what it would take to get it on my front porch, so I can just sit there and pretend I'm a princess.
There you go. There you go.
FedEx next day air, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Half the plane.
Yeah. So on the other side of things, when it comes to actually constructing and building these things, are there, because obviously you had mentioned things about like some things they are hung up in the theater, or how they're actually set up. What kind of considerations do you have to factor into these as you are building them? Because obviously, like, it needs to be able to move around to be able to transport and obviously set up and take down and all that stuff that's your responsibility. So
so a lot of the like a lot of the stuff I kind of know ahead of time, what the set's going to look like, or what the kind of the lay of the land, if you will. And then like if it's something that's hanging, the one theater I do stuff with, they call it a fly system. You ever been to a show where you see essentially things come in from you can't even see, they're so high up, and then all of a sudden, boom, a big window like comes in from the top. It's called a fly. So it'll fly in. There's somebody running it. Some of them have electronics. Some of them are hand doing it. But anyhow, so that's all factored in with, hey, we need to fly this. So then I'll make sure I build it lighter. I generally use mahogany plywood when I build stuff like that, and MDF, just because it's a little pricier, but it's super light, and I can get it very easily from a local lumberyard. So I tend to make it out of that, so it's light, so it can be rigged. And the one theater that does fly stuff in, I work with them all the time, so I kind of know their setup and what rigging they want on it, and then I just go there and meet up with them, carry it in, we clip it on and fly it up in the air, and that's that. But I have a good relationship with them. Most of the schools don't have anything like that. Theirs is all just something that'll roll on and off. So and then if it's something I'm building on site, I just always obviously make sure it's safe, got railings on it, things like that. We figure that into the way the set's designed to make it safe. So if it's with somebody falling off or getting hurt, I tend to like overbuild things when it's platforms and people are, up in the air. I tend to, build it more of like a like a construction worker.
Yeah, robust.
Yeah.
With that in mind, do you have to have a special type of liability insurance with these?
I do. So the rental stuff it's different because they're just renting something and bringing it in. So that's they're essentially absorbing the liability because I'm not rigging something up, or I'm not doing something.
Oh yeah.
Because it's
Okay.
they're renting it from. But yeah, the school stuff I do have like liability insurance for that. Yeah. But in that cover, I have it for that, and also like all my tools, because God forbid I'm building something in a area and my tools get stolen out of my truck or something sitting outside. So
Right.
I have insurance
That happened to, oh gosh, who was he? He does marketry. Frank. I'm forgetting his name, but yeah, that actually happened to him, where like basically truck got stolen with all of the tools in it. So yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a local PDX maker who also does fences as her main job, and she was on a build site building fences, and her work truck with all her tools got taken out of it too. Sucks.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, that's how people are.
If somebody wanted to get into the theater and the prop sector, not asking how or anything, because that's, I'm sure, its own set of worlds, but is there one piece of advice you would give somebody if they're looking to start a business in this realm?
I would say don't expect to get rich. Majority of theater stuff, it's a lot of organizations are volunteer or they're nonprofit. So a lot of times they don't have the money or the funding, to be able to throw a lot of money towards their productions and stuff. So I would say just, beware of that. It's very rewarding and it's good. And I love, like, obviously I want to make money, I got bills to pay, I got a family and everything. So, I need to take that into consideration. But, I also get a ton of value in going to a show and watching people's reactions to something I built, oh, wow. Especially, if it's like little kid or something like that, they kind of get like blown away by something. It's like, oh, that's cool. You see that sign coming in flying in from the top, or, oh, how'd they build this, or that looks neat. So yeah, I'd say the financial aspect, but it's very rewarding, seeing people's expressions and, reactions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alex, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
I think the only thing that crossed my mind was going kind of back to the storage thing. Do you do anything special for your storage that when you're putting them away back in that shed to make sure that everything is, stays nice until the next time that you get it, or is actually easy to get to? Because I could imagine that it would be easy to like stack signs and then, oh crap, now I got to get the one that's all the way in the back and I got to move however many umpteen signs to get to the one I want.
Yeah, so originally I definitely wanted it super organized and easy to get to stuff, so I didn't have to move a million things out of the way to get to something. But that's not the case now. It's so full that
reality happens.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So for example, I have an old Model T car. Right, 2 people can ride on. It's made out of wood. It rolls, whatever. It's sitting in the trailer in my driveway right now because I had to take it out of the storage shed to deliver it to a high school that was renting it, and it took me probably an hour to get it out of the shed because it was all the way in the back, and I had to pull everything out in front of it to get to it. But that car has been sitting there for 2 years. It was the last time it was used. Now it's a very specific thing. It's used in a couple shows, you know. So again, when it gets used, it gets used. But I've been sitting on it for 2 years. So storage, I feel like, is always the issue, no matter who you talk to when it comes to like props and set pieces and things like that. Majority of the stuff is big, bulky. Just where are you going to store it? But I don't like cover anything up. I mean, it's an enclosed shed, so it's all like weather protected. But I would like to do a better job, especially with the signs, because there's like I have a lot of detail on the signs, and I really take pride in them because they're kind of like the centerpiece of a show. Usually they're hanging at center stage. People walk in before the show even starts. The sign's hanging there. It's lit up. So I do want to try to come up with a better way for like storing them so they don't get, jacked up more, and can keep them nice and flat.
Mm-hmm. Do you occasionally have to do a little bit of touch up here and there?
Yeah. I have nothing crazy, but I've been, and when I first started, I didn't do this, but now whenever I build something, I've been writing down the paint colors and where I got them from and stuff like that, just so if I do need to touch something up, I painted 2 years ago and I don't have that paint anymore, at least I can go back and be like, oh, okay, that sign is, blah, blah, blah.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had a few things early on. I didn't do that, and I needed to touch something up, and I'm like, man, it doesn't match, Especially with theater lighting, too. Like, a lot of things can stand out.
Did you ever watch the show American Pickers?
Yep.
So I can imagine, like, 50 years from now, you're gone, your kids are in charge of it, and like they've got some picker coming through all these storage houses going, oh my God, it's a sign from Cinderella, like who knows?
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyways, alrighty, on that note.
Good news, everyone.
So some maker news, well, not really maker news, but no podcast next week. The week of December 24th, we're taking a break off for the holidays, and actually mainly because I'm traveling. So make sure to catch us back at the week after. So no new episode next week. And then the boys over at Another Woodshop Podcast are doing their annual St. Jude fundraiser. So make sure you go over and donate there. If you donate, every $5 donated gets you an entry into one of the amazing prizes that they're giving away. And they are giving away, I wanted to say it was 15 different prizes. It's like $3,000 worth of prizes. Everything from a Onefinity to an Oliver helical head planer, some gift cards, and a bunch of other things. Like, I know all of my donations, I threw all of my entries into the $250 gift card because I want that gift card. Alex,
I thought you would have put it into the Onefinity.
Nope, don't need that.
I was going to say there's way more than $3,000 worth of prizes.
Yeah, Danny. Alex, what did you put your extra tickets into?
I'm a little bit strategic, and I'm assuming that a lot of people are not putting in for the air weights because either they don't have a CNC and they're going for the CNC. So I'm assuming that one's going to have the lowest entry. So I'm strategically placing them in there to get the highest amount of like probability of winning there.
But you don't have a CNC.
Details. I'm probably going to get a CNC probably within the next year is probably what I'm thinking. So that's on the horizon. So that's why I was like, yeah, I'll put in for that. And I think I put in one ticket for the CNC and then one for like, how was the other one? I think it might've been the gift card, but yeah, they've got lots of good prizes over there. I think they take their donations all the way through the 31st of December, if I remember correctly. And I think they're going to have a show that evening. It was either Christmas Day
or the 31st. One of the two.
I want to say it was the 31st because I think they said they were going to be doing the drawing on like the Wednesday or something like that, which I have to look at a calendar to make sure that was right. But
perfect.
Since we are repping their giveaway, they can't sue us for using the Good News Everyone audio anymore, since they obviously own the Futurama rights to that. They do also have after that is going to be in May is the Maker Meetup, which is in Omaha in this upcoming year. So I know that I will be there because Omaha is only like an hour and a half away from me. So that's the next event, at least on the horizon that I'm aware of.
No, there is another event on the horizon. Our Maker Meetup is coming in January. And how would they be part of that, Alex?
Well, they would go to patreon.com/Whatcha Makin show to be part of that quarterly meetup. And you don't have to go to Omaha for that one, even though Omaha has the greatest zoo in the world. And that's not just us saying it. I'm pretty sure TripAdvisor and several places have ranked it like the #1 zoo in the world multiple times.
I have heard that on this podcast.
You cannot get to all of the exhibits in a single day. Like there's no, like, unless you were sprinting through it, there's no possible way. So you got to make at least like a weekend of it. Like it's continuously gotten better and better, and they've added more and more stuff. So you definitely get your money's worth for that trip. So come at me, San Diego. Omaha Zoo's better.
Danny, thank you so much for being on the episode today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So for people who want to reach out, follow you, rent your beautiful creations, how can they do so?
So my social media handles are at Upper Room Creations. That would be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And then my website is upperroomnj.com. And on my website has all the links to everything and rental stuff and all that. There's a theater tab on there. And yeah, you can get a hold of me that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Happy Christmas. Remember, we're not going to be on the week of Christmas. We'll be on the week after. And until we see you again.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Night, night. Merry Christmas. Happy Chrysler.